Hi, I'm Sophia. Welcome to my felting series. Today we're going to learn how to make a felted placemat using pre-felt as embellishments. Let's get started. I'm going to start off by listing some of the tools that I use for felting. I like to use a browse ball to sprinkle water over my felt. It's handy to have a few old towels kicking around as well for that water that may drip, some soap, bubble wrap, and a foam roller. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw out our template for our pre-felt. I'm using a placemat underneath my plastic wrap to outline the circle. To your left, you can see that I've pulled apart my wool into bite-sized pieces that are easier to manage when laying out the wool. I'm going to pull at it with one of my hands while holding onto it with the other so that I can evenly lay out these pieces. The important part is to ensure that we're covering all of the bubble wrap with the first layer of wool. I'm using 19.5 micron merino wool from Blue Moon Studio. This is a Canadian supplier and the wool is extremely soft and great quality. What I'm doing now is I'm laying out a second layer of wool in the opposite direction to how I originally laid down the bluish gray wool in the background. This is just to add an extra element of color in the pre-felt. Now it's time to soak our wool. Lay a screen over top so that we can pat the water into the wool. We're then going to use our hands as little vibrators to ensure that the water is soaking through both two layers. And we can do that just by moving our hands back and forth. And I'm quite literally just sweeping the water across my template and across the wool. You'll find little bits of wool migrating through your screen most likely, and this is totally normal. It's just because we're adding friction and the wool is starting to crisscross in different directions. Once the layers are interlocked to a certain degree, we can hang it to dry. Now it's time to get our project space ready to create our placemat. So here I'm breaking apart my wool into more manageable chunks because this is a fairly big size. It's 19 inches by 27 and the shrink ratio is about 1/3 or 33% for a 19.5 micron merino wool placemat. I'm going to lay this down just so that the edge is nearly touching the edge of the template, and I'm going to do this in rows now, so a bit different than the pre-felt that we did previously. And I'm just going to keep going here until I have covered the entire bubble wrap space with the first layer of wool. I'm using a blended color also from Blue Moon Studio, and you'll see the results at the end, but it is by far one of my favorite colors. It's super natural looking and also very soft. I'm laying this wool out perpendicular to the first layer of fiber that I had already put out, and I'm just covering the template again with this lighter colored wool. Because placemats have a bit of a thicker density, I am going to lay out a third layer of wool. Before we add water, let's add our pre-felt embellishments. I've cut out my pre-felt and laid it out, and now I've sprinkled the entire template with warm soapy water, and I've laid a bubble sheet on top in order to roll that out with the pool noodle. As you can see, we've entered the fulling process. I've shown a few different techniques that you can use, including rolling this, throwing it on the table, scrubbing it on the bubble wrap. The important part is that we're currently shrinking it. Warm water is going to be your friend here. Not so much the soap, it doesn't matter too much when we're entering the fulling process. Don't forget to turn your placemat around so that you're felting in both directions, the length and the width, for shrinkage. I've then washed this out thoroughly with warm water to get all that soap out, and dried, it looks something like this.